The purpose of this lab is to reinforce your knowledge of velocity of a moving object. Now, what does velocity means? Velocity, which we represent by v, is the rate of change of position. If an object is here, and after some time it moves over here, and then over here, you notice here that each time the position changes, the change in position is the same. In other words, this is a case where the rate of change of position remains a constant. In such a case, we say that the velocity is uniform. Now, if the velocity is uniform, then the relation between the distance advanced and the uniform velocity is given by x equal to vt, where x is the distance, v is the uniform velocity, and t is the time. Now, you notice that this is similar to the equation y equal to mx. So, if we measure distance x of a moving object at different times t and tabulate them, say like this, we have distance x is in meters, and time t in seconds. You got each x value correspond to a time value. Now, if you draw a graph of x on the y-axis, why? Because x is in the position of y. Look at that, x equal to vt is similar to y equal to mx. So, if you plot a graph of x on the y-axis and time t, always make sure that you have the correct unit. X is in meters and t is in seconds. Now, that graph will be a straight line. If you mark your points, the points would lie almost in a straight line. And remember, when you draw a graph, you will never join the points. You always do a trend line. Not like I'm doing. You need to use a ruler and do the trend line correctly. That is if you are not using the Excel. Now, please watch the video on graphing on Excel if you want to use Excel. Otherwise, you can plot the graph on a piece of paper like this, but remember, mark your axis correctly with all the values and mark your points correctly and show how the slope of the graph is measured. Very important there. Now, how do you take your delta t? How do you take your delta x? Then once you have them, you got to say slope equal to delta x divided by delta t, and now write those values. Delta x is in meter, delta t is in second. So write the value in meter per second. All right. Now, what does the slope of this graph represent? Now, look at this. Y equal to mx, where m is the slope. X equal to vt. Now, in place of y, we have x. In place of x, we have t. So what does the slope represent? Slope is the average velocity, in this case, the uniform velocity. All right.